I thought I was eating right, but every single day I was raising my sugar with a sweet roll, white bread, and that healthy orange juice I trusted like it was medicine. That sentence still makes me shake my head, because at 92 years old, I have lived through wars on the radio, payphones, milkmen, paper maps, and 8 presidents I can remember without looking them up. I have buried people I loved. I have held newborn babies who are now grandparents. I have learned the hard way that the most dangerous things in life don't always come wearing a scary face. Sometimes they come buttered. Sometimes they come wrapped in wax paper. Sometimes they come in a bottle with a picture of fruit on it and a label that says, "No added sugar," like that makes it innocent. I am not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one. I am just Maria, an old woman who learned late what I wish somebody had told me earlier at the kitchen table, not in a rushed office visit with one hand on the doorknob. I still believe in doctors. I have good doctors. But I will say this plainly. Doctors are often quiet about the little daily foods that keep your sugar high. Not because they are evil. Most of them are tired, rushed, buried in paperwork. They tell you, watch your carbs, and then they are gone, and you are left standing in the grocery aisle, wondering if oatmeal in a packet with maple flavor is healthy or not. For me, that silence cost years. I used to think sugar trouble meant candy bars, soda, and big slices of birthday cake. Well, I didn't drink much soda, and I was not eating cake every day, so I thought I was doing pretty well. I had my breakfast like a respectable woman, toast with jam, sometimes a sweet roll from the bakery counter, and a glass of juice. Not a tiny glass either, one of those sturdy glasses you buy in a set of 4 from the department store. I told myself, it's fruit. I told myself, I need energy. I told myself, at my age, let me enjoy something. Maybe you know that little voice. It sounds so reasonable, doesn't it? Then came the thirst. At first, I blamed the heater in winter. Then I blamed summer. Then I blamed salty soup. I was waking at night with my mouth dry as cotton, walking to the kitchen in my slippers, drinking water, going back to bed, and then getting up again to use the bathroom. I used to joke that my bladder had a better social life than I did. My daughter bought me one of those home glucose meters after a checkup showed my blood sugar was a little high. I remember the phrase exactly, a little high. That is how prediabetes sneaks into the room. It doesn't kick the door down. It takes off its shoes and sits quietly in the corner while you keep spreading butter on toast. The first morning I tested, I didn't even know what number was good. I pricked my finger, squeezed out that little red bead, and waited. The meter beeped. The number was high enough to scare me, not high enough for everyone to panic. That's the tricky middle ground. Not diabetes yet, they say. Pre-diabetes. What a gentle name for a dangerous thing. Pre-diabetes sounds like a warning light on the dashboard that maybe you can ignore until payday. But I started thinking of it as a quiet killer because it works in silence. It scratches at your blood vessels. It stiffens things that should stay soft. It whispers to your kidneys, your eyes, your nerves, your heart. And nobody around you can see it while it is happening. My vessels, I imagined, were like old pipes in an old house. I grew up in apartments where, if the pipes groaned, you listened. You didn't say, oh, they're old, let them groan. You paid attention because a small leak becomes a ceiling falling down. And sugar, too much sugar hanging around in the blood, felt to me like sticky molasses being pushed through those old pipes. Thick, clinging, leaving residue, making the whole system work harder. That picture changed me more than any pamphlet. I remember standing in my kitchen one morning, looking at my breakfast plate, 2 slices of white bread, toasted brown at the edges, with jelly shining on top, a cup of coffee with a splash of cream, and orange juice. I had eaten that way for so long, it felt like part of my identity, like my mother's kitchen, like Sunday mornings, like being taken care of. And I thought, Maria, this is not breakfast. This is a sugar ladder, and you climb it every morning. Now, I did not become a saint, please. At 92, I am too old to lie for applause. I still love the smell of fresh bread. I still believe a cookie can carry a memory. I still think food is one of the ways we say love in America, especially when nobody knows what else to say. After funerals, what comes? Casseroles. After surgery, what comes? Muffins. When grandchildren visit, what do we offer? Snacks. That's not evil, that's human. But I had to ask myself a question that did not have an easy answer. Was I loving myself with those foods, or was I comforting myself straight into trouble? I wonder how many of us stand at that same fork in the road. One side says, "You've lived long enough, eat what you want." The other side says, "You've lived this long, don't throw away your strength now." I have felt both sides. Some mornings I still do. The first thing I threw out was white bread. I don't mean I moved it to the back of the pantry and pretended. I mean, I put the last half loaf in the trash, and I tied the bag. That felt wasteful, and I was raised not to waste. My mother would have clucked her tongue from heaven, but I told her, "Mama, I already paid for it. I don't have to pay twice with my health." White bread was soft, friendly, and fast. That was the problem. In my body, it acted almost like sugar. It broke down so quickly that my blood sugar rose like a balloon. I used to think if it wasn't sweet, it wasn't sugar. That was one of the biggest lies I believed. Then I threw out those sweet little rusks and crunchy toast crackers I liked with tea. You know the kind, the ones that pretend to be modest because they are small. I could eat 4 without noticing, sometimes 6. They scratched that need to chew while I watched the evening news. They were not big, but they were constant. And constant is what gets you. After that, cookies with tea had to go. That one hurt. Not because I needed cookies, because I needed the ritual. At 4 in the afternoon, the house gets a certain quiet. If you are widowed, or if your children are grown, you know the hour I mean. The light changes. The day feels like it is leaving without asking your permission. Tea and cookies made that hour less lonely. So I kept the tea and changed the company. Instead of cookies, I had a little cottage cheese sometimes. Sometimes a boiled egg with salt and pepper. Sometimes a few cucumber slices with a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt and dill. And sometimes I simply let the tea be tea. That was harder than it sounds. I had to learn that every feeling does not need a snack. I stopped buying store-bought instant oatmeal packets too. Oh, those fooled me for years. Apple cinnamon, maple brown sugar, heart-healthy words on the box, a smiling red bowl. But when I looked closer, many of those packets were sweetened and processed until they hit me fast. I had thought I was being careful. I was really eating dessert in a sweater. If I wanted grains, I turned to buckwheat. Not every day, not a mountain of it, but a modest bowl. Buckwheat has an earthy taste, like something from a grandmother's pantry. I cook it plain and add a little butter sometimes, or a drizzle of olive oil, or I eat it with vegetables. It stays with me longer. It doesn't make me feel like I need a nap 30 minutes later. The frying oil changed too. I threw out the big bottle of sunflower oil I used for frying. In my younger years, we fried everything in whatever oil was cheap and available. I am not here to shame anybody. Food prices are no joke, especially now. I have stood in grocery stores in this country and watched older people put things back because the total was too high. That makes me angry in a way I can feel in my bones. But for my kitchen, I stopped frying the old way. I started using olive oil, mostly for gentle cooking or dressing vegetables. Not pouring like a queen, just enough. Fish with olive oil and lemon. Vegetables with olive oil, garlic, and black pepper. Beans with olive oil and vinegar. Simple food, not fancy. I don't need a restaurant plate. I need legs that carry me to the trick. The cups had fruit on the bottom, and I liked stirring them until the whole thing turned pink. I told myself yogurt was good for my gut. Maybe it was, but the sugar in some of those little cups was not doing me any favors. I replaced them with plain, unsweetened kefir. At first I made a face. Plain kefir is not trying to flirt with you. It is sour and honest. But after a while, I began to like that clean taste. I drink a small glass, not a bucket, and I feel satisfied. The last thing I had to throw out was not in the pantry. It was a habit, late-night snacking. This one is sneaky because it wears pajamas, a little something before bed. A cracker, a piece of toast, a handful of cereal, a banana because bananas are natural. A cookie because the day was hard. I did that for years, then wondered why my morning sugar looked like it had been out dancing all night. I made a rule for myself. After dinner, the kitchen rests. The sink gets wiped. The light goes off. If I am truly hungry, I ask myself if I would eat a boiled egg or plain kefir. If the answer is no, then I am not hungry. I am just looking for comfort. And if I am looking for comfort, I can call my daughter, fold laundry, say a prayer, rub lotion into my hands, or go to bed early, like a child who needs kindness. Now let me tell you what I put in place of all that, because empty promises don't fill a plate. In the morning, I began eating eggs or cottage cheese. Sometimes 2 eggs scrambled softly with spinach. Sometimes a boiled egg and a few slices of tomato. Sometimes cottage cheese with cucumber and black pepper. Protein in the morning changed my whole day. It was like putting a steady log on the fire instead of throwing in paper that flares and disappears. On days I wanted something warm and hearty, I made buckwheat. Not sweetened, not drowned in syrup, just buckwheat, a little salt, maybe mushrooms or onions, maybe a spoonful of cottage cheese on the side. It sounds plain, but plain food can be kind. In this country, we are always being sold excitement in a box. Crunchier, sweeter, cheesier, bigger. But the body, especially an older body, often wants calm. Vegetables became my friends again. Not just lettuce, which is mostly a polite way to chew water. I mean cabbage, broccoli, zucchini, green beans, peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, onions, eggplant, cauliflower. I roast them, steam them, simmer them in soup. I stopped treating vegetables like decoration and started treating them like the main part of the meal. Fish came back into my life twice a week when I could afford it. Salmon when it was on sale. Sardines when I wanted something simple. Cod if the price was decent. I know some people wrinkle their nose at sardines, but I grew up with practical food, and sardines are practical. With lemon, parsley, and a piece of cucumber, they taste like strength to me. Beans surprised me. I used to think beans were too heavy, but when I learned to eat them in reasonable portions, with vegetables and olive oil, they helped me feel full. Lentils, black beans, navy beans, chickpeas. They have fiber, and fiber is like a broom in the house. It slows things down. It helps sugar enter the blood less like a flood and more like a stream. And water, Lord water, not juice pretending to be health. Not sweet tea, not diet drinks all day, although I know some people use them as a bridge. I mean water, plain water. I keep a glass near me in the morning. At my age, thirst signals can be strange. Sometimes you don't feel thirsty until you are already dried out. Water helped me with the fiber, with the psyllium, with my energy, with everything. Yes, psyllium. That little word changed my mornings. I call it my soft broom. Psyllium husk is a natural fiber. It swells when it meets water and forms a gel. That gel can slow down how fast carbohydrates hit the bloodstream. Now listen carefully, because this matters. I started small. I did not dump a big spoonful into a tiny cup and hope for the best. That is how people make cement in their stomach. I started with 1/2 teaspoon in a full glass of water in the morning on an empty stomach. I stirred and drank it right away, then followed with more water. After my body accepted it, I moved toward 1 teaspoon. Some days, I take 1 teaspoon first thing in the morning. Other days, if I know my most carbohydrate-heavy meal is lunch or dinner, I take it shortly before that meal instead. Always with water. Always. If someone has trouble swallowing, bowel problems, takes medications, or has been told to limit fluids, they should talk with a healthcare professional first. I am 92, not reckless. Natural does not mean careless. Psyllium can affect how medicines absorb, so I keep space between it and my pills. I learned to respect it, but for me, that 1 teaspoon of psyllium, used properly, was one of the quiet helpers. Not magic, not a miracle, a helper. Like a good neighbor who doesn't make speeches but shows up with a snow shovel. The first little victory was thirst. One morning, I noticed I had slept longer without getting up for water. Not perfect, but better. I stood in the hallway and thought, well, look at that. Nobody applauded. There was no parade. But inside, I felt proud, like a child bringing home a spelling test. Then the craving softened. That shocked me most. I thought I had no willpower. I had spent years scolding myself. Maria, why can't you just stop? But once I stopped starting my day with bread and juice, the afternoon monster got quieter. Not silent, but quieter. My body was not riding that up and down roller coaster all day. A sweet roll in the morning used to call for a cookie in the afternoon, and the cookie called for a cracker at night. It was like one sugar kept inviting the next. When I ate eggs in the morning, vegetables with lunch, fish or beans for dinner, and drank water, the phone stopped ringing so much. The stairs became easier too. I live with a few stairs that have humbled me more than any man ever did. For a while, I would climb them slowly, gripping the rail, pretending I was not breathing hard if someone was watching. Pride is funny at 92. You can need help opening a jar and still want to look dignified on a staircase. After some weeks of eating differently, I noticed I reached the top without stopping halfway. Again, no fireworks, just me, my hand on the banister, smiling like I had won a small private race. My sugar numbers improved, but I won't turn this into a fairy tale. I still check. I still have ups and downs. Stress raises it. Bad sleep raises it. Illness raises it. Too many healthy carbs raise it. And yes, sometimes I eat something I shouldn't, because I am human, and because life is not a laboratory. But the direction changed. That is what matters after 70. Direction. Not perfection. I wish someone had told me that getting older does not automatically mean your sugar must climb forever. People say, well, you're old. What do you expect? I expect not to be dismissed. That's what I expect. I expect people over 70 to be taught, not written off. High sugar is common with age, yes, but common does not mean normal. Pre-diabetes is not just age. It is a warning, and warnings are a form of mercy if we listen. This is where I get a little stubborn. In America, we are told to be independent. Pull yourself up, make your own choices. But then the grocery store is designed like a trap. The cheapest breakfast is often the one that spikes you. The cereal aisle is longer than some hospital hallways. The healthy labels are written by people who know exactly what they are doing. And then when older folks get sick, everyone acts surprised. I don't think that is fair. At the same time, I don't want to live angry. Anger raises sugar too, believe me. So I turned my anger into routines. That is something an old woman can do. I can't fix the whole food system, but I can decide what crosses my kitchen table. Here is what my day might look like now, if you were sitting with me. Morning. I wake up and drink water. If it is a psyllium day, I take my 1/2 teaspoon or 1 teaspoon in a full glass of water, depending on what my body is used to, and I drink more water after. I do not let it sit until it turns thick. Then later, I eat eggs with vegetables or cottage cheese or plain kefir with something savory. No juice. If I want fruit, I eat a small piece of whole fruit with a meal, not a big glass of fruit sugar stripped of its chewing. Lunch might be buckwheat with mushrooms and cabbage, or bean soup, or fish with cucumbers and tomatoes. Dinner is often lighter. Vegetables, protein, maybe beans, maybe kefir. I try not to stack bread, potatoes, rice, and dessert all in one meal. That combination used to make my meter scold me like a school teacher. And after dinner, I close the kitchen. That one sentence saved me many mornings. I remember the day my granddaughter came over with a bag of pastries. She meant love. She is a sweet girl, busy, tired, trying to make everyone happy. She put them on the table and said, "Grandma, I got your favorite." For a moment, I felt that old pull. Not just for the pastry, for the past, for being the grandmother who always says yes, for not making anybody uncomfortable, for not being the old lady with rules. Then I looked at her and said, "Cut 1 in half, sweetheart. You enjoy yours, and I'll have 2 bites with my coffee after lunch." She looked surprised, then relieved. We sat together. I had my 2 bites. I tasted them slowly. Butter, sugar, memory. Then I stopped. That was a victory too. Not throwing food away. If it is higher after a certain food, I don't say, "I'm bad." I say, "That food is not my friend in that amount." There is a difference. I used to take it personally. Now I take notes. White bread, my number climbs. Sweet crackers, climbs. Cookies with tea, climbs. Instant sweet oatmeal, climbs. Juice, oh, it climbs like it has somewhere urgent to be. Eggs, steady. Cottage cheese, steady for me. Buckwheat in a modest portion with vegetables, much better. Fish and vegetables, kind. Beans in a sensible bowl, filling. Olive oil instead of frying everything in sunflower oil, better meals, less heaviness. Plain kefir, helpful. Water, necessary. Psyllium with enough water, a quiet helper. I know everyone's body is different. Some people can eat oatmeal and do fine, some cannot. Some tolerate beans beautifully, others need small portions. Some take medication and thank God for medication when it is needed. I am not here to tell anyone to stop pills. Never stop medicine because an old woman on a kitchen chair said she changed her breakfast. That would be foolish. Work with your doctor. Test. Learn. Pay attention. But I am saying this: food is powerful. Small changes repeated daily are powerful. And after 70, repetition is where we win. Young people love dramatic transformations. New shoes, new plan, new body in 30 days. At my age, I trust quiet things. A glass of water, a boiled egg, a walk to the mailbox, a bowl of cabbage soup, a teaspoon of fiber, turning off the kitchen light at 7, checking sugar without fear, doing it again tomorrow. One of my proudest little moments happened last spring. I went to the grocery store alone. My daughter wanted to come, but I told her, "Let me try." I took my list: eggs, cottage cheese, plain kefir, buckwheat, cabbage, green beans, canned sardines, olive oil, lentils, cucumbers, lemons. I walked past the bakery section. The smell hit me, warm and sweet. For a second, I was 40 again, buying rolls for my children on a Saturday morning. I stopped. I let myself smell it. Then I kept walking. Not because I hated the bread, because I loved my feet. I loved my eyes. I loved the chance to climb my stairs. I loved the possibility of another summer sitting outside with iced water and watching the birds bully each other at the feeder. That is what changed. I stopped seeing food changes as punishment and started seeing them as protection. My vessels are old pipes, yes. But old pipes can still carry water if you stop pouring sticky molasses through them all day. My body is old, yes. But old does not mean finished. Prediabetes is a quiet killer, yes. But quiet does not mean unstoppable. Sometimes I think about all the older folks sitting at breakfast right now, believing they're doing the right thing. Toast, juice, sweet yogurt, a little cereal, maybe a packaged oatmeal because the box has a heart on it. Good people, responsible people, people who paid taxes, raised children, served in wars, worked night shifts, kept families together. And nobody sat down with them long enough to say, "Honey, that breakfast may be why you're thirsty." That bothers me. Maybe that is why I talk about it now. Not to be dramatic, not to sell a miracle, just because I know the loneliness of sitting with a scary number on a little screen and wondering if the future is closing in. If your number has been creeping up, I can almost feel that tightness in the chest. You try to act calm, but your mind runs ahead. Feet, eyes, kidneys, pills, insulin, nursing homes, losing independence. In America, independence is almost a sacred word, especially for people my age. We want our own keys, our own chair, our own coffee cup, our own say. So I protect my independence, one breakfast at a time. And if someone around you says, "At your age, why bother?" I hope you remember me standing at the top of my stairs, breathing easier. That is why. I bother because I am still here. I bother because my granddaughter still calls. I bother because the morning light still comes through the kitchen window. I bother because I want my last years to have as much steadiness as God allows. Now, I'll tell you the honest ending. I did not cure old age. My knees still complain when it rains. I still forget why I walked into a room and then blame the room. I still have days when I want something sweet so badly I could negotiate with the devil for a cinnamon roll. But the craving passes, the body learns, the tongue learns, the heart learns too. The first week was the hardest. The second week was strange. By the third week, my breakfast felt normal. After a month, juice looked too sweet. After a few months, white bread tasted like it disappeared too fast, like it left me emptier than before. That surprised me. We think we cannot change because we are old. Sometimes we just haven't given our bodies a fair chance. If you are sitting there with a cup of tea, maybe with a cookie beside it, I am not judging you. I have been that woman. I may still visit her on holidays. But I wonder what would happen if tomorrow morning, just tomorrow, you traded the white toast and juice for eggs or cottage cheese and water. Not forever, just as an experiment. What would your meter say? What would your thirst say? What would your stairs say? Those little numbers we see in the morning can feel private, almost embarrassing. 108, 122, 137, 151. Each one carries a story. What we ate, how we slept, what we fear, what we hope. I often wonder how many kitchen tables across this country have the same tiny meter sitting beside the napkins, and how many people feel alone when it beeps. You are not alone. That is the main thing I wanted to say. My secret after 70 was not one secret. It was throwing out the foods that were pretending to be harmless and bringing in foods that respected my old pipes. Out went white bread, sweet rusks, cookies with tea, sugary instant cereals and oatmeal packets, sunflower oil for frying, sweet yogurts, and late-night snacks. In came eggs, cottage cheese, buckwheat, vegetables, fish, beans, olive oil, plain kefir, water, and that careful little teaspoon of psyllium with plenty of water. Not glamorous, not expensive if you plan well, Not perfect, but real. And maybe that is what we need more of now. Real food, real talk, real patience with ourselves. I still set my table in the morning. I still use a cloth napkin because it makes me feel civilized. I still say thank you before I eat, not because every meal is exciting, but because every meal is a chance. At 92, you understand chances differently. You stop wasting them on things that steal from you while smiling. So when I say I keep my sugar steadier without relying on more pills, I say it with humility. I know bodies differ. I know some people need medicine, and there is no shame in that. But I also know what happened in my kitchen when I stopped feeding the fire and started feeding myself. Maybe the doctors were too busy to explain it. Maybe the labels were too clever. Maybe I was too stubborn. Maybe all three are true. But I learned. And if an old woman can learn at 92, with shaky hands and a sweet tooth and a lifetime of habits behind her, then I do not believe it is too late for many of us. The question I sit with now is simple. When comfort and health pull in opposite directions, which one is truly loving? Some days, comfort is a warm blanket and a phone call. Some days, health is a boiled egg instead of toast. And some days, love is closing the kitchen, turning off the light, and trusting that tomorrow morning, your body will thank you in a language only you can read.